Hello, my name is Vance Stallings. I'm an estate planning attorney with the firm of Sims Showers, serving our clients from offices in Washington, Baltimore, and Hampton Roads, Virginia. The topic for our discussion today is the wisdom of using do-it-yourself online legal services such as LegalZoom for the preparation of your estate planning documents. In thinking on this subject, a certain phrase came to mind, and that was, if you want something done right, do it yourself. I don't know who first spoke those words, but they are now widely known and spoken, and what's not to like about the sentiment that they represent? We all like to think that we can do things well, and we certainly like to control the outcome of our work. Throw in the chance to save a buck, and we are caught, hook, line, and sinker. And why not do it yourself? How hard can it be? Why do I need a technician or an expert in regard to certain things that I might want to do, including, in this case, estate planning? And certainly you can save a lot of money if you're able to do it yourself and do it well. The do-it-yourself movement embodies these principles, and you only need visit your Home Depot or go online to YouTube and look at all of the do-it-yourself videos to see that there's a lot of promises that are being made and a lot of stuff that's out there, a lot of information for you to consume and to utilize in working on things for yourself. And as long as I don't have to figure in the amount of time that it took me and the cost of that time to me, I certainly can say that I also have saved a lot of money watching videos and doing it myself with car repairs or home upgrades, that sort of thing. I've also, though, gained the benefit of a small box of leftover pieces from those repairs, and I have no idea what to do with most of them. I just have to hope that they weren't essential to the repairs that I did, and I keep my fingers crossed every day that that's indeed the case. So anyway, all these things, all this availability, all this information. So what's not to like about it? Well, there is a lot to like about it, but if you're like me, your record is not perfect when it comes to utilizing this information. Hey, my average is a little bit higher than the .354 lifetime batting average of Babe Ruth in his career, but I regretfully recall more than a few repairs where the parts wouldn't go on properly, and the vehicle made outrageous noises when I tried to turn it on, and that made me know that the problem was getting worse. Those are the times when, after a day or two and some not-so-kind words and the occasional use of a sledgehammer, I had to admit that the task was over my head and I had to call the tow truck company to take it to an expert, to a technician, to somebody who didn't need YouTube in order to figure out how to fix my car. My pride takes a hit. This may have happened to you too. You remember why you haven't opted for the paid subscription on that side of YouTube, and you chalk it up to the cost of doing business. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, no harm, no foul. But what about when the subject matter is a little bit different? When it's not just about making a light go out or making the proper adjustment to your refrigerator? What about when the subject matter is the financial future and well-being of your family, your business, and the other organization like churches, etc., that may be charitable beneficiaries of your estate? What about when that is what's at stake that we're talking? What if a failure to properly understand the task at hand could lead to unintentionally disinheriting a child, paying a large sum in taxes that didn't have to be paid, that were totally unnecessary, losing control of your family business because you didn't properly understand the ways to go about doing that and to harness that type of an asset for the future for your family, failing to properly appoint and empower a trustee to oversee your children's financial futures? These are the types of things that are out there that have to be dealt with, and the stakes are much higher than they are in most of the things that we undertake online when that's not our primary area of expertise. Now we're talking about matters of legacy and greater import. This is not about resetting your needs maintenance light on the dashboard. The stakes indeed are very much higher. And they require a different analysis as to how you go about handling these things, whether or not an online resource is the right way to go. From time to time, I directly get asked the question, can I just write my own will? And they know that I'm an estate planning attorney, but they're asking me. They know the resources are there and they want to see how I react to that. And they say, do I really need an attorney? Again, here I am requesting that information from me. And while the answer may seem obvious to me, I must admit that in this information-rich society, it is a fair question. There is a lot out there. There are a lot of tools available to you. And I can't just dismiss the question out of hand, and I wouldn't. In much the same way that you can go to webmd.com and read up on brain surgery and perhaps find some documents outlining that type of operation, In the same way, yes, you can create some documents online for a fee that is substantially less than what you would pay a professional estate planning attorney. And yes, you can call that your estate plan. But the real question is, should you? Should you rely upon fill-in-the-blank forms to capture the complexity of an ever-changing body of law and the ever-changing nature of your personal circumstances and all that goes along with that, with your business, your family, your income, your finances? Is the do-it-yourself site's assumption, which is that you know exactly what you want and you just need the proper tools to write it down, is that assumption a valid one? Is it a valid one in your circumstances? Without a steady and knowledgeable hand to guide you, how do you even know what questions to ask? How do you even know what it is that you need to be looking towards in regard to your estate plan? Do you, in fact, know exactly what you want so that those tools can be utilized by you in a good fashion? Should you utilize a trust? These are the types of questions that you might ask. Should you utilize a trust? Should you utilize a will-driven plan? What about powers of attorney? And what about choosing a trustee or an executor? Who should you choose to oversee your children, custody, guardianship, etc.? What is a living will, and how can you make sure that its terms are honored? What is the impact of the Secure Act on your estate and beneficiaries? What are the tax implications of your choices in regard to your children? And how can you protect your spouse and children if your spouse remarries after your death? How much of your estate can you give to charity and still meet your goals in retirement and after passing? What are the estate tax and gift implications of transferring assets to your children while you're still alive? And what if you disinherit somebody by accident in the course of all these activities? And sorting through all of these answers to these questions that you may or may not have an adequate basis in knowledge to make. The law is a pretty complicated body of information, and it's increasingly so. There are new laws being put into effect every place. I mentioned the Secure Act a little bit earlier in this conversation, and the Secure Act was just passed. It affects a whole body of very intricate laws in regard to 401ks and IRAs and TSP plans. These are the types of changes that you need to keep up with if you're going to be able to adequately provide for a properly formed estate plan. Do these forms and your knowledge combine for a winning team in regard to such an important part of your legacy as your estate planning? Now, after all, there is a reason that LegalZoom's website, way down low in the print, says the following. This is their disclaimer on their website. A quote, "We are not a law firm or a substitute for an attorney or law firm. We cannot provide any kind of advice, explanation, opinion, or recommendation about possible legal rights, remedies, defenses, options, selection of forms, or strategies." That's a pretty big body of information that they're disclaiming that they have anything to do with the ability to provide you guidance in regard to. So they are giving you some tools. But when you take away all of the things in this disclaimer that we just mentioned, giving any type of legal advice, telling you about any rights that you might have, defenses, options, or even what forms to select, they completely disclaim anything that they might have been required to provide you or that an attorney would have been able, willing, and eager to provide you. They totally disclaim that. And that's, of course, the nature of the online tools. They are not a law firm. They're not providing legal services. Therefore, they have to have this disclaimer, and I think the disclaimer says a whole lot when you look at it, because as an attorney, our firm, the attorneys that work in our firm, we are willing, able, and eager to provide all of those services that they say that they can't provide. So there is a great difference, and their own disclaimer is a big part of telling you what that big difference is. For the record, you won't find any of those disclaimers on our website. We certainly don't disclaim those things. We are, in fact, all the things that they have to disclaim that they are not. And that represents a big part of what the value is in working with an estate planning attorney. Now, we talked about that this is a great risk area. The biggest problem with any estate plan is that you don't know if it works until you are gone, until you're no longer able to fix it. So a well-formed plan needs to get it right the first time. It has to weather the storms of both life and death, and errors in judgment and a lack of knowledge can be disastrous, especially when you have passed or if you have become incompetent to authorize changes to your plan. So incompetence or death is going to completely eliminate the opportunity that you have to get any type of a mulligan in regard to your estate planning. There's no do-overs. There's no, wow, I wish I had changed that. You are, for the most part, stuck with what you did with your estate planning, and a lot of mistakes get made and a lot of unforeseen consequences are borne by beneficiaries and others that have to carry on with this plan that you've made. And if you did it online without the proper information, there's a big opportunity for a lot of mistakes to be made. Now, a well-formed estate plan has to take into account a lot of things. It takes into account your wishes, your family's circumstances, your financial situation, and any potential tax consequences that all of these things put together in a plan might be the outcome of those decisions. It's comprehensive and it's specific to you. So there's both specificity as well as comprehension, and being a comprehensive plan that applies to everything, and it has to take everything into account that it possibly can. In order to reach the goals that we have for that, you need an experienced estate planning attorney who will thoroughly examine your family dynamics, your assets, your desires, your goals, what your estate represents to you, and what you want to accomplish with it. This is the type of thing that a well-trained, experienced estate planning attorney will be looking to help you with. An experienced estate planning attorney will walk you through the estate planning process, gathering the necessary information and making personalized recommendations for your circumstances in light of the attorney's knowledge of the law and how to fit that in and how that applies to you and how your planning fits into the big picture and results in a plan that is both effective and efficient and understands and takes into account the law. You will walk away from the process of working with an estate planning attorney with a set of documents that are carefully crafted to meet your needs, and you'll get the peace of mind that you have made a wise investment in a solid asset. And that asset is an estate plan that actually works, that you can know that works. And in the end, like most things in life, adages do in fact have some truth, but they fail to work when we attempt to apply them universally. In this instance, I like to think that if you want something done right, do it yourself, goes hand in hand with the song lyric that I remember, I get by with a little help from my friends. Your friends at Sims Showers look forward to the opportunity to discuss your estate planning needs in the very near future. When the stakes are high, put our legal expertise to work for you and your family. We've walked this path before, and we look forward to being of assistance to you. Thank you very much.